All right, strap in, everybody. We are about to take a deep dive into some seriously thought-provoking stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we are cracking open The Human Enigma by Ahmed Hulusi. This book, let me tell you, it blends Islamic philosophy, science, and cosmology in a way that might just make you rethink pretty much everything.
I mean, it really is a fascinating read.
It is.
Hulusi does not shy away from bold claims.
Yeah.
He weaves together ancient wisdom with modern scientific concepts, and it really does spark your curiosity.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the first things that grabbed my attention was this idea that our brains are like receivers for cosmic energies, and, those energies shape our potential and even our fate.
Right.
It even ties in astrology, saying things like our rising signs, the elements associated with them, influence our personalities and paths in life.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that a bit deterministic?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're all just puppets on cosmic strings?
That's a question a lot of people have wrestled with throughout history.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Mm.
What's interesting here is that Hulusi isn't saying we have no free will.
Mm-hmm.
He uses specific examples from astrology.
Right.
Things like planetary aspects, or even how the 120th day after conception is significant
Oh, wow.
to illustrate how these energies might be working.
Okay.
It's like we're born with a certain cosmic blueprint, but that doesn't mean we can't make choices and shape our own lives.
So it's not about, predicting the future with your horoscope, but more about understanding the energies that you were born with and how they might be playing out in your life.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But hold on. If we have this cosmic blueprint, what does that mean for our spirit? The book talks about the spirit having 4 levels
Right.
and how it connects to our brain and physical body. It even says the spirit body is holographic.
Yes.
Can you break that down for us a little bit? What does that even mean?
So the idea of subtle bodies or energy fields beyond the physical is found in many spiritual traditions.
Right.
What makes Hulusi's model unique is the way he describes these 4 levels of the spirit interacting with both our physical body and the material world,
Okay.
and that holographic part.
Yeah.
That suggests the spirit is not just some passive thing, but an active force that can actually repair itself.
Wow.
It's almost like our spirit has its own intelligence and healing abilities.
Wait, so you're saying that our spirit can heal our body?
Uh-huh.
Does that mean we have more control over our health and well-being than we realize?
It's definitely an intriguing concept. Think about it. If our spirit and body are interconnected in this holographic way, it stands to reason that influencing one could affect the other. This connects with some of the ideas we see in fields like bioenergetics and energy healing.
Wow, this is already making me rethink some things. But the book doesn't stop there. It talks about this practice called dhikr, which is the remembrance of Allah in Islam. Hulusi claims that dhikr can actually activate dormant areas of our brain and increase our spiritual capacity. He even compares it to neuroplasticity, the idea that the brain can rewire itself.
Yes.
Are we talking about some kind of spiritual brain hack here?
It's certainly a bold claim.
Yeah.
But if we look at dhikr from a broader perspective, we see similar practices in various spiritual traditions. Meditation, chanting, prayer. All of these involve focused attention and repetition.
Right.
And modern neuroscience is starting to understand that these practices have profound effects on brain structure and function.
Oh.
So the idea that dhikr could activate dormant areas of the brain isn't as far-fetched as it might seem.
So you're saying that through dhikr, I could potentially unlock hidden potential within my own brain?
Potentially.
That's pretty wild. But is it just about the brain, or is there a bigger picture here?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Hulusi presents dhikr not just as a religious ritual, but as a powerful tool for self-development and spiritual evolution. He suggests it can help us connect with a deeper reality, tap into our true potential, and even influence our destiny.
Hold on. Influence our destiny. Didn't we just talk about how we have this predetermined cosmic blueprint?
Right.
I'm starting to get a little confused here. How can we have both a predetermined path and the ability to change it?
That's the paradox Hulusi explores throughout the book.
Okay.
He acknowledges that we're born with certain predispositions and potentialities,
Right.
but he also emphasizes that we have the power to transcend those limitations.
Okay, so I need to wrap my head around this. We have a cosmic blueprint, but we also have the potential to rewrite it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty empowering idea. But how do we even begin to do that? Where does dhikr fit into all of this?
Dhikr is like the key that unlocks the door to that transformation. It's not just about repeating words, but about cultivating a state of awareness, connecting with the divine, and aligning ourselves with a higher purpose. Hulusi suggests that through consistent practice, we can shift our consciousness, expand our awareness,
Yeah.
and ultimately rewrite our cosmic blueprint.
So it's not just about changing our brains, but about changing our entire reality.
Exactly.
That's some next level stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're on this journey of spiritual evolution, is there anyone out there helping us along the way?
Well, the book introduces this idea of, welcome back. Let's unpack some of these common misconceptions about Islam and spirituality that Ahmed Hulusi challenges in The Human Enigma.
Yeah, the book really pushes back against what it sees as outdated or distorted views. It's like Hulusi is urging us to move beyond blind faith and dogma and really grasp the core of spiritual understanding.
Yeah.
What are some of the key points he brings up?
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions he tackles is this idea of a God who is separate from creation,
Oh, okay.
a distant entity sitting on a throne somewhere out there.
Right.
He emphasizes that Allah is not an external being, but the very essence of existence, present within every single thing.
So instead of worshiping an external deity, it's more about recognizing the divine within ourselves and all of creation.
Exactly.
That's definitely a different perspective than what many people are taught. What other misconceptions does he address?
He also critiques blind faith.
Okay.
He really pushes readers to question inherited beliefs and actively seek knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Hulusi emphasizes that it's crucial to understand the underlying reasons behind religious practices instead of blindly following rituals without comprehension.
I can see how that would be important. It's about engaging with spirituality with our minds as well as our hearts, right?
Oh, exactly.
We shouldn't just accept things at face value, but try to delve deeper into the meaning and purpose behind those practices.
Absolutely. Hulusi advocates for a more conscious and informed approach to spirituality. He challenges us to move beyond cultural conditioning and inherited beliefs to develop a personal understanding grounded in knowledge and experience.
That's really relevant today, don't you think? I mean, we're bombarded with information and conflicting perspectives all the time.
Right.
How does Hulusi guide us to navigate this complex landscape and figure out what's actually true?
He really hammers home the importance of critical thinking and discernment. He encourages us to analyze information carefully, to evaluate its source, and to consider different viewpoints before forming our own conclusions. He reminds us that true knowledge isn't about blindly accepting what we're told, but about engaging in a process of inquiry, exploration, and personal reflection.
It's like he's advocating for a more scientific approach to spirituality. I don't mean in the sense of, like, lab experiments, but in the sense of applying critical thinking and looking for evidence.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate?
That's a great point. Hulusi encourages us to approach spiritual teachings with the same rigor and discernment that we would apply to any other field of knowledge. He reminds us that true faith is not about blind acceptance, but about developing a conviction based on understanding and personal experience.
This whole discussion is really making me think about how I approach my own beliefs and practices. But Hulusi doesn't stop there. He also dives into this really intriguing idea about fate and free will. How does he reconcile the concept of a predetermined destiny with the idea that we have choices and can influence the course of our lives?
This is a question that has been debated for centuries. Hulusi offers a unique perspective, drawing upon both Islamic teachings and modern scientific understanding. He acknowledges that we're born with a certain cosmic blueprint, a predetermined set of predispositions and potentialities shaped by the astrological influences present at the moment of our conception.
So that's the fate part of the equation.
Right.
But what about free will? Where does
Yeah.
that come in?
Hulusi argues that our free will lies in our capacity to respond to the challenges and opportunities presented by our RAB, our individual programming.
Oh.
He emphasizes that through conscious effort, through practices like Dik, we can awaken to our true nature as Allah, the ultimate reality, and transcend the limitations of our predetermined blueprint. It's not about denying fate, but about understanding that we have the power to evolve beyond it.
It sounds like a delicate balance.
Yes.
We have a blueprint, but we also have the power to rewrite it.
Exactly.
That's a powerful idea. But I'm curious, how do we even begin to approach this kind of transformation?
Well,
Where does Diker fit into all of this?
Diker acts as a key that unlocks the door to that transformation.
Yeah.
It's not just about repeating words, it's about cultivating a state of awareness, connecting with the divine, and aligning ourselves with a higher purpose.
Okay.
Hulusi suggests that through consistent practice, we can shift our consciousness, expand our awareness, and ultimately rewrite our cosmic blueprint.
Wow, this is deep stuff. It's not just about changing our brains, but about changing our entire reality.
Exactly.
Hulusi really emphasizes this concept of transcending our limitations.
Yeah.
It's like he's challenging us to step out of the roles defined by our cosmic programming and embrace a more expansive way of being. But that sounds like a daunting task. How do we even begin to approach that?
Hulusi offers practical guidance through his emphasis on spiritual practices like Digger. He believes that through consistent effort, through the conscious cultivation of awareness and connection with the divine, we begin to loosen the grip of our ego, our conditioned self, and we awaken to a deeper reality. He encourages us to move beyond the confines of our limited perceptions and embrace a more expansive way of seeing ourselves and the world around us.
So it's about shifting our focus from the I to the we,
Exactly.
from the limitations of our individual ego to the interconnectedness of all things.
Exactly.
That's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
Precisely. Hulusi invites us to recognize that we are not isolated entities, but an integral part of a vast and interconnected web of existence. He suggests that through recognizing our interconnectedness, we can tap into a deeper source of wisdom, compassion, and power.
This is all incredibly profound and inspiring, but it also raises a lot of questions. If our brains are indeed shaped by cosmic energies, what steps can we take to consciously influence those energies and unlock our full spiritual potential?
That's a question for each of us to explore. The human enigma provides a framework, a set of principles and practices to guide us on this journey of self-discovery. The ultimate responsibility, however, lies with each individual to apply these teachings, to experiment, to observe, and to find what resonates with their own unique path.
So it's a call to move beyond the theoretical and embrace the experiential.
Yeah,
We need to step into the laboratory of our own lives and discover the truth for ourselves.
exactly.
This has been an incredibly rich and thought-provoking discussion so far. Is there anything else you want to highlight before we move on to the final part of our deep dive?
One of the most striking aspects of the human enigma is its unwavering emphasis on the importance of aligning ourselves with the divine will. Hulusi reminds us that true fulfillment lies not in pursuing our own selfish desires, but in surrendering to a higher purpose. He wants us to recognize that our individual journeys are ultimately part of a larger cosmic unfolding.
That's a humbling perspective.
Yep.
It's a reminder that we're not the sole authors of our stories, but participants in a grander narrative that extends far beyond our limited understanding. This idea of surrender is often misunderstood, though.
Right.
It's not about passivity or giving up our agency, is it? I think a lot of people might struggle with that concept.
You're right, it's often misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Hulusi's concept of surrender is about aligning our will with the divine will. It's about recognizing that our true power lies in harmonizing ourselves with the flow of the universe rather than resisting it. It's about letting go of our ego's limited perspective and embracing a more expansive way of being.
It's about trusting in the wisdom of a larger intelligence and recognizing that we're part of something far greater than ourselves. This idea of surrender, when you explain it like that, it feels both empowering and liberating.
Yeah.
It's a relinquishing of control in order to tap into a deeper source of guidance and strength.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our individual efforts are most effective when aligned with the universal flow, when we act in harmony with the divine plan, rather than struggling against it.
This has been an incredibly insightful exploration of the human enigma so far. I'm already feeling my perspective shift, and I can't wait to delve deeper into the remaining sections of the book. What can we expect in the final part of our deep dive?
In the final part, we'll explore some of the most intriguing and potentially controversial aspects of Hulusi's philosophy. We'll delve into his explanations of heaven and hell, his insights into the nature of the afterlife, and his warnings about the dangers of neglecting our spiritual development. It's a call to awaken to the urgency of our spiritual journeys and to embrace the transformative power of living in alignment with the divine reality.
This has been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I'm definitely ready to explore more. What do you say we jump right into the last part? Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the human enigma. We've covered a lot of ground, from cosmic blueprints and the power of Deck to challenging misconceptions and the concept of surrendering to the divine will. But Hulusi, he doesn't shy away from some pretty intense topics.
No, he doesn't.
He paints this really vivid picture of the afterlife, and it's not all, fluffy clouds and angels playing harps.
Right.
What's the deal with his take on heaven and hell?
Hulusi's descriptions of heaven and hell are definitely not what you'd typically hear in a religious sermon. He challenges those traditional interpretations.
Okay.
Instead of physical places, he presents them as states of consciousness.
Mm.
They are a direct result of our choices and actions in this life. He even suggests that both heaven and hell begin right here on earth.
Oh, wow.
They're ways of experiencing reality. They're shaped by our level of spiritual development.
Wait, so you're saying it's not about being rewarded or punished by some external force after we die. It's more about the consequences of our own actions playing out in the form of our experience. That almost feels like we're creating our own heaven or hell right now.
That's exactly the point Hulusi is making. He emphasizes that we are constantly creating our own heaven or hell through our thoughts, our actions, our choices. Imagine this. Those who cultivate awareness, compassion, and connection with the divine, they're already experiencing a kind of heaven on earth.
Okay.
It's a state of inner peace and harmony that extends beyond the physical realm.
Right.
On the flip side, those who live in a state of egotism, ignorance, and separation from the divine,
Yep.
they're creating a kind of hell for themselves,
Oh, wow.
characterized by suffering, conflict, inner turmoil. It's a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences. They ripple far beyond our physical existence.
That's a pretty sobering thought. So you're saying our experience in the afterlife is like a direct reflection of the kind of reality we've cultivated for ourselves in this life?
Exactly.
That makes you really stop and think about the choices you're making right now.
It does, doesn't it? Hulusi's descriptions of heaven and hell are a powerful wake-up call to take our spiritual development seriously. It's not about scaring us into submission, but about awakening us to the reality that our actions have consequences.
So it's about, waking up to the urgency of our spiritual journeys, making choices that lead to a more fulfilling experience, both now and in the hereafter.
Yeah.
What else does Hulusi say about the afterlife? Does he provide any specific details about what we can expect?
Well, he describes the afterlife as a continuation of our spiritual evolution. We don't suddenly become enlightened beings the moment we die.
Right.
We continue to learn, grow, and experience the consequences of our choices. He even describes a transitionary phase that takes place in the grave,
Really?
where the spirit becomes more aware of its true nature and confronts the reality of its actions.
Hold on, a stage of the afterlife in the grave. What happens there?
Hulusi explains that during this phase, the spirit is visited by angels who question it about its beliefs and actions in life. Now, this isn't like a literal interrogation. It's more a symbolic representation of the process of self-reflection, coming to terms with the consequences of our choices. It's almost like a cosmic review of our life's highlights
Okay.
and lowlights.
So it's like we get a chance to face ourselves honestly and assess the kind of reality we've created.
Exactly. Hulusi emphasizes that this phase is an opportunity for growth and purification, a chance to shed the illusions of the ego and prepare for a more expansive experience of reality.
This is some heavy stuff. It makes you wonder about what you would see if you had to face that kind of cosmic review.
Yeah.
But what about those who haven't really focused on their spiritual development before they die? Are they, destined for eternal suffering?
Hulusi suggests that even those who have neglected their spiritual development still have opportunities for growth and purification in the afterlife.
Okay.
He emphasizes that the divine is infinitely merciful and offers countless chances for redemption. However, he's also clear that this process can be long and arduous. It involves confronting the consequences of our actions, making amends for any harm we've caused.
So it's not a hopeless situation,
Yeah.
but it's not exactly going to be easy either.
That's a good way to put it. Hulusi's descriptions of the afterlife are ultimately a powerful call to action. They remind us of the importance of our spiritual journeys, while we still have the opportunity to make choices that align us with the divine reality.
This has been a truly mind-expanding deep dive into the human enigma.
It has.
We've explored concepts that challenge our understanding of reality, the nature of the divine, and the meaning and purpose of human existence. As we wrap up this episode, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this book?
If I had to distill the essence of the human enigma into a single question, it would be this. Are you living as a servant of your Rab, your individual programming? Or are you striving to become a servant of Allah, the ultimate reality? That choice, Hulusi suggests, determines the course of not only this life, but also the eternity that lies beyond. He invites us to embrace the transformative power of knowledge, critical thinking, and spiritual practice to unlock our full potential and create a reality of peace, harmony, and lasting fulfillment.
That's a powerful question to consider. It's a call to move beyond the limitations of our ego and align ourselves with a higher purpose. This deep dive into the human enigma has been quite a journey. It's filled with, mind-bending concepts and profound insights. If you're intrigued by what we've explored today, I highly recommend checking out the book for yourself. You might just find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about reality, the divine, and the potential that lies within each of us.
It's a journey worth taking. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of existence.